Ask any novelist. A violent personality is great for advancing the plot. Earlier this month, I finished King Sorrow by Joe Hill, and this was really good. This is my first Joe Hill novel, but I'm a big fan of his father, Stephen King. As many of you know by now, Stephen King is like one of my favorite authors of all time. And when this one came out last year and it got a lot of praise, it got me very interested in Joe Hill, and I finally decided I would read it as my entry into his works. And I gotta say, I'm definitely gonna be reading more of his stuff in the future because this was really, really fun. This was a really good time. So, what's King Sorrow about? Well, a group of friends who are at college decide to make a Faustian bargain. If you don't know what that means, it means a deal with the devil kind of thing, a monkey's paw situation, with a dragon named King Sorrow after they are being harassed by a bunch of people who they owe money to. And it turns out that that Faustian bargain is like a really bad thing. It's a really, really bad thing because making deals with demons from the Outer Dark almost always is. And dragons are especially cruel, evil, sinister, and twisted. And this dragon is specifically all those things. So what does this book do well? First of all, the plot itself and the idea is very cool. I love books with supernatural creatures. I love books where the plot is basically, hey, we messed with this entity, and this entity is now going to hunt us down and kill us, or ruin our lives. And that is what King Sorrow is to a T. I love that kind of plot device. I love that in movies. Some of my favorite movies are like, hey, we found this new entity, we're gonna mess with it, oh, we're all dead now. Alien, one of my favorite movies of all time, is literally that to a T, and so is King Sorrow. The characters are really well written overall. I'm not gonna say like they're the best characters ever. I don't even think they're as good as most of like Stephen King's characters, but I feel like they serve the purpose of this novel very well. And I feel like them as a group and the way they're focused on is very well written. I also really like the aspect that this takes place over decades. This takes place from basically the time they're like 22 to about their 50s, roughly. Like they're definitely into middle age by the end of this book. And that really makes this book feel like an epic adventure at points and an epic overarching narrative that somehow is both very long, but also it doesn't feel long because of the advancing plot over the years. So I really like that. Also, I'm a big fan of like the world in this. Dragons are real in this one. Trolls are real in this one. Gnomes are probably real in this one. There are fairy tale creatures that live and exist in this story. And whether that's because of human imagination or they've always existed and they just somewhat penetrate our reality, is kind of up for debate. And I really like that like ambiguity. I'm a big fan of leaving it up to the reader to figure out how much is true and how much is false. But I would say, honest to God, the best thing about this book is the title character himself, King Sorrow. I love dragons. I feel like everyone loves dragons. I feel like if you grow up in Western culture, you are basically programmed to love dragons. Dragons are a huge part of European and to some extent American like culture. It's a huge part of our history as people. The dragon has always been a symbol of great terror, or like the ultimate creature. The dragon is the ultimate fantasy creature. It is the unkillable force. It is the unstoppable, all-destroying, all-knowing entity. It's the folk tale of so many of our beloved stories. We got Skyrim. We got The Hobbit. We got this book. We got King Arthur. I mean, the dragon is one of the most beloved fantasy creatures of all time. Probably the most beloved. And I love when an author writes a dragon well. I feel like so many authors, they write dragons and they just make them stupid horse animals that just breathe fire. And that's really lame. Or they make them riddle masters. Don't care. That's lame. when I say I love dragons, I want that dragon to be an evil, snarky, somewhat British, just like evil dude. And that is what King Sorrow is to a T, y'all. That is what King Sorrow is to a T. King Sorrow is this malevolent entity that has lived for thousands of years, and it feels like it. It makes constant references to major disasters throughout human history, of like burning like Sodom and Gomorrah, of destroying entire towns, of helping the Russians fight the Germans in World War II, and it's awesome. It's awesome. Every time he shows up on screen, it's the best thing ever. It's like the coolest, best thing ever, because he is this just like slimy piece of garbage that is like hell-bent on like agonizing the protagonist of the story. And this is very rare for me to say, but I was more invested in King Sorrow as a character than the protagonist. The villain in this is really, really great. And I love when an author is willing to write a great villain. It's something Stephen King does really, really well in his series. And Joe Hill obviously picked up on that, at least by what I can see in this entry. Because King Sorrow, he is just, if not my favorite, one of my favorite depictions of a dragon I've come across. He is full-blown, evil, ginormous dragon that can like take down planes and stuff. And it works so well. Like, it's just so well written, and it's just really fun, because I feel like if you are a fan of fairy tales, and I don't mean fairy tales in like the Disney loser kind of way, but fairy tales in the like dark Grimm's brother kind of way, you're going to love this. Like, this is absolutely going to be for you. If you love dragons, this is going to be for you. And if you are a fan of the Stephen King like 70s to 90s era, where he was just writing bangers off like coke, you're gonna love this, because this feels like this could have been written by the king himself in his prime. Like, it really feels like that. So I really like this. Like, the characters are really fun, the plot's really fun, the pacing's really good, the writing's excellent. No surprise there, Joe Hill definitely has his father's talent for turning a phrase or turning a sentence. It really works, and the dragon is awesome. King Sorrow is probably one of the best depictions of a dragon I've read in any iteration of anything, and one of my favorite modern iterations that I've read in a very, very, very long time. So, give it like a 8.8 out of 10. I really like this one.